Hey everyone, so I wanted to talk about some dreams that I call them artist dreams. I feel like those are dreams that are about artists, maybe to make you feel like you should be an artist too kind of dream, right? So this is mostly like when I was a teenager, like I think because I'd say about the age, 12, that's when I was listening to New Order a lot, and then I thought, I'd like to be like them. I felt like that's kind of like, so my role models were musicians, right? And so some of those musicians were mostly like electronic industrial, but New Order was one that they weren't as hard and dark as some of the other bands I listened to. So I definitely had a couple of good ones about them. Now, I did a video earlier on in this playlist called the JodyVision, so I think I went out of body when I was about the age of 10, maybe. Like, I used to be worried about the possibility of us going to war because I knew we lived real close to the Navy base and everything. And I remember, like, sometime around then when they were using dynamite to put the, like, the telephone, like, they had really big electric poles so they would be hurricane proof. Thinking that, oh my god, I was scared about that. So I think when I was out of my body, because I'd already had concerns, I started wondering if I had died. And so I was looking around, for my mom and dad, and I think I found Stephen Mallender. And so I did a whole video explaining this vision, or this dream actually, which could have been an out of body experience. And so it seemed like, he was just sitting there on my dad's bed, and when I walked in and we made eye contact, I realized that I don't actually know the guy. But then, like, maybe a few years later, we're watching their video for Sensoria, and it just seems like right as Stephen Mallender looks into the camera, I just felt that clink, like that was him, that's who that was, so I could be wrong, but if that was Stephen Mallender, I felt very strongly that it was, I just felt like, so that's just an issue of my memory. If that's, I just felt very strongly that it was, because he's just got, I think he's got like light blue eyes, he's got dark hair and light blue eyes, and so that's kind of what made it click. So anyways, I just thought that was an interesting example of how maybe if you listen to somebody's music or you give them a lot of thought. So when we give people power like that, just because like, say in a conversation, when you're talking to somebody, there's a line of energy between you and them. Well, when the artist gets on stage, there's a line of energy between them and all kinds of people. So what that does is it creates, I think, a thicker line of energy, especially if you're a channeling artist, So there's a line of energy if you look at it like that. So metaphysically speaking, I feel like, maybe because we give them our attention, like maybe Stephen Mallender was out of body one night and he floated into our house, So who knows? So anyways, I've had a lot of dreams that I was hanging out with some people, but then I like when I was a cab driver, I almost felt like there's a few people who have invited me in, and I've walked out feeling like I've been here before. I've dreamed about this place before, so I feel like that's the counter experience to that. So that makes me feel like I always felt a special connection with Cabaret Voltaire, but that's the only dream I've ever had about him, and the only other dream I've had about them would be his partner, Richard Kirk, and I can't remember what age I was, probably much later, probably after I left my dad's house, and maybe I was living in Colorado, I can't remember, but it seemed to be like after I went through some of my stuff trying to meet Bill Lieb, and so it could have been in the 2000s where I had a funny dream. I was with my dad over at my grandmother's house. We used to spend a lot of time there. It seemed like me, him, and Richard Kirk were there, and it just seemed like me and my dad were arguing because he wanted me to just quit talking about Bill Lieb and forget about it. And the next thing I knew, I felt like Richard Kirk took me to Vancouver, and I was looking down on it. And so like later on, I was able to recognize maybe part of Vancouver. So I felt like the guiding spirit was like, no, don't stop worrying, don't let him tell you, to stop talking about Bill Lieb or whatever, or forget about it. Anyways, that's the connection I felt from those dreams. New Order, I started listening to them a lot, and I was really curious about them. I felt like this is the band I wanted to learn from. So I was really happy when I got the biography and everything. But before I got that biography, I was listening to them a lot, and I was wondering who they are and stuff. And I had a dream that they came over to visit. I was at my grandma's house because when my cousins would come down, I'd go over there and play with them all summer, go swimming in the backyard. And anyways, I talked about New Order a lot to my cousins. I was really hoping to get my cousin Nessa to jam with me, and she, she hung out with me, she put up with me, but she was into a different area of music, so I was kind of driving her crazy, talking about New Order all the time. And so my dream took place over at my grandma's house, and like they pulled up and piled out of this vehicle, and it was interesting because they were like they were in reality, but I didn't really know what they were like yet. So like Peter Hook looked more like the JodyVision days. It seemed like he had kind of straight hair, and he had that thin beard, which he's always had that thin beard, but later on it seems like he let his hair grow out. And then otherwise the rest of them look more like, I don't know, their New Order days. I think maybe the singer had that haircut, like he has the fade and stuff, and like I can't really describe them a whole lot other than I felt like Peter Hook was the one I could really tell distinctly the most. But it was just cool because like they come in and hang out, and so like Peter Hook and Bernard are the like boisterous ones, they're the ones that like I read their biography, I think the one that Peter Hook wrote, and I kind of relate to them because that's kind of how I am. Like me and my cousin would be kind of like that, or me and my friend Scott would be like that. We'd be the ones in the corner making jokes and laughing, and then like in their case, Ian Curtis would be off with his girlfriend acting all hoity-toity and intellectual and shit, and these guys would be all. So anyways, like they were like that in my dream, they were like totally goofing off. But then the other two, Stephen and Jillian, they were kind of quiet and shy, and they just sat quietly and waited, and so I liked that dream just because I felt like I kind of saw what they were like, and so this was like I kind of felt like these guys were, I think I really liked Bernard Sumner so much. I was listening to Power, Corruption, and Lies a lot, and Substance a lot when I got my own copy, and what I noticed about a lot of singers is they're very serious, they seem to take themselves so seriously, and I could tell Bernard didn't take himself so seriously, and I kind of found out later that I'm kind of right about him. He's, he never thought he was going to be the singer. That's why they hired Ian Curtis, Duh. So there was a part of him that's just like, I shouldn't be a singer. And so I've always picked that up. So maybe that's what I liked about him, because I feel like I relate to him a lot for just, I don't really feel like I take myself too seriously. I'm kind of a silly goose, but I think when I really get into something that I do take it seriously, like I always thought they did a really great job on their music, for example. And so like when I go to work or whatever I do, I like to do a really good professional job, or like, if I could, get my artwork done, I want to make sure. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to share, I have a lot of doodles and stuff. That's one thing I like to doodle, but to make like a really good piece of artwork, I'm very serious about that otherwise. And so another great dream I had about New Order was probably very close to that time, and I liked this one because I felt like I was going into that building where they filmed, I guess I've seen Perfect Kiss, so it could have been like, I don't know, it must have been like after, I got that when I was like a teenager, so I can't remember when, but a little bit older, and I had this dream that I felt like I was in that building where they filmed the Perfect Kiss, and there was this blonde lady, I don't know who she was, but she was just tall and friendly, and she's like, she wanted to show me something. It almost seemed like she didn't say anything, but she took me into this room, and it seemed like in a library, like the card catalog, like all those little drawers, and it seemed like all the drawers had like different tapes of New Order's music or something, and I felt like she was telling me I have access to everything that they have access to. So I felt like that was an assurance dream that like wherever they get their creativity, I can get that creativity too, they're not special, like don't think like I can't do what they can do. It's kind of like Jesus trying to tell us that we could do miracles too, like you could do stuff like New Order too, like you have access to everything they have too. And so I had a similar dream about David Bowie. Now my dad was a very big fan of that David Bowie. I didn't really collect and listen to much on my own time, but I always liked him. And so I had a dream. And we're living on Big Copy Key on D Avenue, and next door, David Bowie lived next door, and they have like I guess it's a chain link fence with some reed on it, And it was weird. I was out in the backyard, you know, between the trailer and the fence. And I went down past the ferret's cage and where the tree hangs down and stuff. And there was like this magic doorway. It was like a white doorway. It was square shaped or a rectangular shape. And I was walking through to the other side. And I was able to walk into the house, and it seemed like it's kind of like how my grandma's house is. Like we were allowed to just come and go. We didn't knock or anything. It was just you come and go there, and it was like that, you know. And so come in, and David Bowie was sitting in his couch, you know. Like it seemed like I had to walk behind his couch, and he was just sitting there watching TV. Like he was aware of me, but I didn't need to announce myself. And I could just walk right into his house, and I walked right past him and down the hall a bit. There was a big room that had everything I needed to do artwork, you know, from music to painting. Everything I ever wanted was there. It was like a beautiful red shining room. And I knew when I was in there I had everything I needed, you know. So there was something about that feeling of just kind of being like part of David Bowie's family, being able to access the same thing again, kind of like New Order, being able to get the same, find the same source. So and that's what I've been looking for all my life is where do you find real magic, or where do you find the real inspiration? Because I didn't want to start a band and just be another copycat band. Like I see so many people, they're just like, they all sound like their favorite band, or they just sound amateur, and so I've been really looking for that source, you know. So I think that's what these dreams are about. I had another fun dream about New Order now. I'm trying to think. I think New Order's the bass player, Peter Hook, and the drummer came and picked me up. So I must have been in my teens, you know, because I was listening to New Order a lot, and it seemed like it didn't make sense at the time, you know, but it just seemed like, you know, I got in their car and we were going down the road, and I kind of saw everything going by, like the Keys going by, and there was like a long bridge, you know, it's like 7 miles, I saw it going by, but then we just sped up and sped up and sped up, and next thing I knew we were in Canada, and they were taking me to my new home in Canada, and I just felt like I was in somebody's backyard looking at this porch, you know. And then like much later, I think I found out, I guess, I'm seeing the connection with Bill Lee, because like Richard Kirk and the guys from New Order were taking me to Canada. I'm kind of thinking I was seeing the back porch of Bill's house or something. So something like that. So both Richard Kirk and a couple guys from New Order have taken me to Canada, to Vancouver. In my dreams, like before I started thinking about really, you know, trying to make a connection to Bill Lee. So another dream I wanted to bring up though was Genesis P-Orridge. You know, like I feel like I'm not his best fan for sure. Like I think I don't agree with him all the time. Like on some of the things he does, he's kind of gross. Like when you read about the history of the band, and like they were doing some gross stuff. Like I don't agree with everything they were doing, but I really appreciate all the philosophy that came from there. And I think I just loved all the more electronic and techno-y stuff that came out from those guys, and like Chris and Cozy and all that, you know. So, you know, it's funny, I never had a dream about Chris and Cozy, but they were definitely one of my favorites. And I was going to say about them is like I kind of always wanted to grow up to be like them, and marry a man like Chris Carter, and be and write music with them, you know, like find another synthesizer geek, you know. But Genesis P-Orridge, I can't quite put my finger on when the dream happened. It could have been in my 20s or so, but it just seemed like he was staying in a cottage behind a mansion, and I had somebody with me. It's kind of like that guide in the New Order dream. It was like a tall blonde lady, you know. She just seemed to like smile and smile and smile, and she brought me into his cottage. And when we saw each other, it seemed like we known each other for such a long time, and like we're old friends, and we're really happy to see each other. You know, like maybe we've been separated a long time, but there was like a sense of kindred spirit there that we hugged each other, and there was like a bed kind of alongside the window. Like I could see out the window. There was sort of like a big grassy lawn and a mansion, you know. And so it seemed like we were so happy to see each other, and we hugged, and I don't know, like if we like twirled around a few times, but then, you know what we did is we fell over onto the bed, and we rolled up and down end to end a couple times. That's all I can remember, is just being so happy to see each other, hugging falling on the bed and just rolling up and down. That was it, you know. And so I just feel like I thought I'd share some of these visions because it's like not visions, but these are dreams. These are more like dreams, and maybe like even the Cap Voltaire one, like that could have even been astral travel. But when I think about these dreams, I just feel like those are like people that, you know, most of them are like ones that I thought were pretty powerful artists, and I feel like they're kind of letting me know like I have access to the same thing they do, or maybe we're on the same level. And I really appreciate a lot of Genesis lectures. Like, so when I listen to his lectures, I think the one key ingredient that I enjoy about his lectures is he's always saying, you know, not to let people put their expectations on you. So what we do is we tend to project expectations to other people that are taught to us, like guys should have short hair, girls should have long hair, you should dress like this. And so in a ways, you know, like there's been like this whole gender thing going on, like people wanting to dress like the opposite sex if they want to. And so he's one of them, you know. He was kind of like being like both male and female at the same time, you know. So like, so he wanted to be like have a body for his ex-wife. They were doing this thing where they wanted to be like matching. So they kind of, you know, they're artists and they had to like express this idea to an extreme. So I see him as an extremist rather, you know, going to the extent of, you know, getting the fake boobage and ew. And I particularly didn't care for the fat lips. But anyways, I love what he's saying about so many things because he's a liberator, you know. He's an artist, teacher, liberator type of person. And so it comes back to my precept on that truth is truth no matter where you find it, even if it's coming from someone like Genesis, where like maybe I don't agree with the other stuff he's saying and doing, but I definitely agreed with a lot of his artist concepts. So that's why I feel like, you know, seeing him in that dream and feeling like we're kindred, I feel like I want to continue that spirit of the artist, you know, keep that spirit alive, you know, carry that flame for all those people, you know. So all those people are, you know, like he's gone. Richard Kirk died at the age of 65, so he may have died of COVID, is what my dad said, is that people are suspecting it might have been sudden, and people couldn't explain it. He might have caught COVID. Let me see what I was going to say. New Order are all still alive, and actually they look pretty healthy. And then David Bowie, he got cancer. So David Bowie and Genesis both had cancer. Sounds like not Richard Kirk, but Stephen Malliner seems like he's alive and well, you know. So anyways, yeah, I think, you know, these are some of my favorite people growing up. I don't think I've dreamed about every single, I don't really know who all my favorite artists are by name and stuff. There's just certain ones where I've read books about them or felt a connection with them. And then when I talk about Bill Lieber, Frontline Assembly, it seems like that's the one that like came to me the most often. So he comes to me in dreams a lot more often than all these other people. And I've also had a lot of really strong visions where it's like I'm going into a parallel dimensional timeline, and I met him at an early age and had a lot of different events unfold. So that's been kind of a big story for me to share. I think it's one of the best stories I have, but it's very complicated. So I wanted to share some of these stories to give a little bit of contrast to me just going into a dream where, you know, it could be just subconscious activity, you know, just that I might be telling myself, hey, don't worry, you could do, maybe that's what I wish was true, wishful thinking. I wish I was as good as them. I wish I knew their secret or whatever. So, and then the other possibility is that there is a little bit of spirit activity. Maybe we were out of body when I met Stephen Malliner. Maybe my spirit guides are taking me to a dreamscape, you know, like seeing that woman next to me. She could have been like a spirit guide that wanted to take me someplace and show me something. So when you go to sleep at night and you close your eyes and you dream, a lot of different things unfold. It could be just what you call brain noise. Your brain is just regurgitating its stuff. And then other times you could be out of body and in another level and having, you know, telepathic communication and remote viewing and all type of things can unfold. So it's almost like going to sleep at night gives you access to more levels of consciousness than when you're actually awake. So it's quite ironic, in fact. So you guys, getting to be quite late. So if you're up late like I am, then sweet dreams. And if it's early morning, then I guess you should look forward to the next time you go back to bed, because I love dreaming. It's so much fun. So I actually look forward to going to bed and dreaming, because sometimes it's fun. Like I've been having dreams about Rosie, you know, so and they were all like going for rides and stuff. So it's like whoop-de-doo-doo. So like yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back to bed. So you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you then.